Well, hello, everybody. Apparently, everybody and their dog is doing podcasts tonight because my program, StreamYard, just notified me that the traffic is very high tonight. So you may have some problems. So we may have a little bit of streaming issue as we go. But if you guys would share this on your page right now as you go, that would be awesome. Um, and I got a sponsor that's I got to show you here. And then we have a super cool story. This is a young man I met. I don't know how old Jaya was when I met him. Like little. I'm going to guess 5 or 6 at Mount Vernon Elementary School in Springfield. I used to read over there. And Jaya and I met each other. And he's going to come on and tell you about his life. And then he has a basketball tournament coming up. So we're going to talk about how you can help him with that. Our sponsor is. I'm just crossing my fingers the whole time that this is going to work. Chris Dental Family Dentistry. Dr. Michael Bratland loves to tell stories, loves to have people tell stories. And tonight we got one that doesn't involve politics or anything. It just involves real human beings. And here is that real human being. Jay Mattis, how you doing, buddy?
Great. How are you?
God, how old? I'm good. How old are you now?
I'm 20. I'll be 21 in June.
Oh my gosh. How old? Do you have any idea how old you were when we met?
I don't. It had to have probably been 5 or 6, I would guess, somewhere around
Yeah.
there.
So Jaya, tell people they can't see from here, but tell people you was it spinal? What did you have? What was it that you were dealing with as a kid?
Spina bifida and sacroiliac are kind of the big two.
And so what does that mean, like in layman's terms?
So the most major part, I'm missing the bottom half of my spine. And so when I was, I think I want to say 7, I had my legs amputated to basically stabilize what was missing from there, to kind of give my organs and everything else more room to grow. And then that's kind of the big gist of it.
So you and I remember it was a really tough decision because when I knew you, you had your legs and you were in a wheelchair and you really wanted to walk. You wanted
Yeah.
to be able to walk someday. And so your mom, kind of tell people that story. Your mom made a real tough decision.
Yeah. So I don't remember it super deeply. But yeah, so I was born paralyzed. I had both of my legs. But they got in the way a lot. I had, but the bones were pretty weak, so I had problems with, I would break my leg. Quite a few. I did a few times. Just playing around being a kid. Then some other injuries and stuff like that, and they were just really kind of a big problem. They were more of an issue than doing any kind of good. So when I was 7, we did the surgery to amputate my legs, which then gave me the opportunity to get prosthetic legs so that I could walk.
Because you really, really wanted to walk. And so your mom, I remember your mom talking about this is that it was a hard decision. You had legs, and it seems counterproductive to cut off somebody's legs so that they can walk.
Right.
But that was what the only way they thought this could work was if you got rid of the legs that weren't working so you could put on the prosthetics. And you had prosthetics for how long?
I want to say it was a few years.
So I'm going to go back in time because I want people, I want to tell a great story. There's a moment with Jaya, and it was like, probably I will never forget that. We're in Mount Vernon Elementary, and I'm up on stage, and there's a stairway that goes up the stage. And they had a back entrance that you could get a wheelchair up on there. And Jaya was in a wheelchair, but then he got the self-manager's button, and he comes, I don't know. Do you remember this?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay. So Jaya, you came up to the stairway and you didn't want to use this, handicapped access. And you flopped, you're like a tiny little guy. And
Yeah.
you flopped out of that wheelchair. And I remember I'm on stage with teachers, and there's a whole audience of parents and people out in there. And you flopped on that stage, and almost like a seal, you crawled up the stairs and across the the stage so that I could pin the self-managers assembly. By the time and then you went and you crawled down the other side and they brought your wheelchair over there. You popped yourself into the wheelchair and went on your merry way. And there
Yep.
was not a dry eye in that room. Everybody was like going, here's this miracle guy who, I mean, you had so much stamina that you did not want to you didn't want to go up there on it with a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And so and then we have another really cool story. And do you remember when you were at the hospital?
Yes, a little bit.
Okay, I'll never forget it. So I'm going to tell you.
All
So
right.
I'm getting cancer treatment at OHSU, and somehow you were getting some stuff done at OHSU also, and your mom saw that I was up there, and so she called me because I don't think we had text. I don't remember, but I think she called me and said Jaya's up here and he's having a real hard time with what's going on, and are you around anywhere? And I said, where is he? So I found my way through the hospital to Dornbecker's. I think that's where you were, or our child wing at the hospital. And I walked in your room and you were laying in bed. Oh, you know what? That's after you got your legs amputated.
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah. And I walked in there and I mean, Jay, I will never forget this. I walked in and you had these little, the little stubs there. I don't know if that's a technical term or what, but you had you had your covers on, and then you were sitting there, we were talking, and then I said, so I heard you got your legs amputated, and you kind of went, yeah. And then I remember I reached over and I said, can I touch them? And you went, yeah. And so I reached over and just kind of went like, just touched him. So like it was normal, and you got this big smile on your face. And then we just sat and talked. And then I left and your mom called me later and said, Jaya's whole attitude changed because all of a sudden it was somebody else was accepting. And I think it was that I touched him because quite honestly, I didn't want to.
Yeah.
Because it was kind of freaked me out too, just like it freaks you out.
Right.
I thought, what Jaya needs is this to be just completely normal. And so I just reached out and touched him. And probably one of the things I will never forget my whole life, just because it was such a stretch for me. And but I knew you needed that. And I needed it just to be touch that human thing. And so then you guys, I wish I would have found this story. I did it a few years ago. It's been probably 10. I did a story on Jaya because he started playing basketball and then started getting big like this. I mean, you're like a freaking monster, dude. I mean,
Yeah, I've grown quite a bit since I was little.
How much do you weigh?
Right around 90 pounds, I think.
90?
Yeah.
And so, because you don't have leg, but I mean, you're husky.
Yeah, all upper body.
Yeah, because it's from just below the waist, just kind of at your, well, you have a little bit of leg, right?
Yeah, just a little bit, not a whole lot.
Yeah. So how is that getting around and all that stuff for you at your age now? What are the hard parts?
So I don't use prosthetics really anymore at all. Just because it got, it was more effort and work than just using my wheelchair. It was just, a lot more inconvenient for, moving around very much at all. So now I basically just use my wheelchair to get around.
And you guys, if you could see him with this wheelchair. So he sent me some video of basketball. Oh, you know what I could do? I figured out, here's what I could do. I think I can do this. Hold on. Okay. So let me pull this up. And I bet you, hey, you know what? When you have to punt, you punt. So let's do this. I will put this on like this. Hold on. Where am I? Oh, it's kind of hard there. Okay, there we go. Now, so this is boys and girls on your team, right?
Yeah.
And how many people on your team?
So on our adult team, we have I want to say 10. That video was actually that was from a fundraiser scrimmage that we did
Wow.
a couple months ago. And we included our adult and our kids team, so that was a little bit of everybody.
So what are you doing now? What are you doing with your life? What are you going to be when you grow up?
Well, I'm currently going to school at LCC for welding.
Okay.
Yep, and then working a little bit and playing a lot of basketball.
So do you have a girlfriend?
I don't, not yet.
A handsome guy like you? You just too busy?
I guess so.
What what's the hardest part for you? You said you're how old?
Sorry, can you say that again? You cut out for a
How old
second.
are you again?
20.
So you're a 20-year-old man and you get around like nobody would even really think anything of it because you're so fast. But do people look at you and just see the wheelchair? Do you think?
Yeah, I think a good amount of people tend to do that. Yeah, they kind of make assumptions without really actually knowing any of the details.
So if you could sit down with somebody who sees your wheelchair, and if you're really honest, what would you tell them?
Um, I just tell them, to just focus on the person instead of, how they get around or how they look.
I had a friend who was experienced life in a wheelchair. He was an electric wheelchair, and he couldn't do. He had a lot of stuff that you don't have going on. But the first time I met him, I walked into a coffee shop, and there was no one in there but some guy in a wheelchair, and I'd never seen him except for here online.
Hmm.
So I went and sat down somewhere else, and I mean, isn't this rude? It's so bad. I went and sat down and was waiting for this guy to show up. And then he wheels himself over there and he says, "I think you're waiting for me." And
Okay.
I was so embarrassed because he says, "You didn't assume I was in a wheelchair, did you?" And I go, "No."
Hmm.
And then we became really good friends and I did a story on him and then he passed away, but he had a bunch of complications and stuff. But he would always say, "All people see is my wheelchair." But I think everybody with different abilities, like people that are experienced Down syndrome,
Hmm.
nobody can look past the face.
Yeah.
So what have you I know this is a little heady, but you know how I am. You should have been warned, right? Um, so what do you understand about yourself that you think, you might not have had you not been in this situation?
um, I mean, it's kind of forced me to, not not focus on what other people think or what they think I can or can't do, and really just focus on myself.
So what can you do? I mean, because don't you do other I mean, basketball is just like one thing.
Hmm.
You've tried a bunch of shit.
Oh yeah, lots of stuff.
So kinda give me a list of, like, what are the things you've done that most people wouldn't think somebody who's in a wheelchair could do?
So I play basketball. That's my biggest sport. But I also wrestled 2 years in high school.
I remember that.
I've done the past few years, I've done adaptive mono skiing.
D you mean like snow skiing?
Yeah.
How do you do that?
So it's kind of they have kind of like I guess kind of a bucket sort of thing that you sit in. You strap yourself into, and then it's just got one ski mounted on the bottom. And then you have two. They're sort of like crutches with like a mini ski on the bottom of it to kind of
Oh,
balance
I've
yourself.
seen. So is that pretty freeing when you get to do that?
Yeah, it's pretty fun. I like it.
I bet that would feel so weird because it's like now, I mean, you're going fast and you're doing this and it's not like you've ridden a bike or something like that.
No.
So you're going like crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely a big learning curve.
So now you want to get married?
Yeah, I would like to eventually.
Do you want to have kids?
I'm not sure.
I think you'd be a good dad.
Yeah,
Yeah, because you're very patient and tolerant. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So tell me about this basketball tournament. So what are you doing?
yeah. So my basketball team this year, we qualified to go to the national championship tournament, which 16 teams qualify to go to. And I think we finished, I want to say 10th in our division.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how many players is that?
So we have 10 on our team, I think.
That
9 or
need to
10.
go, that need to go.
So ideally, you know, look, we'd like to have all of them, but ideally, 8 or 9.
And how much does this whole thing cost?
So plane tickets are somewhere around $400 to $500 per person. Then hotel while we're there, rental cars, all that stuff.
So what are you trying to raise? How much money are you guys trying to raise?
Our team has set a goal for $5,000 for our fundraiser currently.
Okay. So how do people, if they're out there and interested in donating some money, and I mean, I'm guessing you guys will take $20 or $100 or whatever.
Oh yeah.
Um, you're just looking for people. How do people get in touch with you and get a hold of you?
So you can either, if you know me, you can message me. Or if you look up Bridge City Inclusive Sports on Facebook,
What is
we
it?
have a
What is
link.
it? Spell it for it. What is it? Briggs?
Bridge City Inclusive Sports,
Okay.
and then we have a link posted on our page there with the fundraiser.
Uh-oh, somebody's joining in the conversation. Do you know a Christy Blancher?
Oh yeah.
Is she a friend of yours?
Oh, you could say that.
Okay, so this is mom. She's he said he's done hand cycling, kayaking, scuba diving, rock wall climbing, rugby, mini golf, obstacle courses, and more. You're not even giving me half the stuff that's going on here. Uh-oh, Barbara, be careful now. She says you're a handsome young man. He is a good-looking guy. I'm jealous of that beard. I mean, Christy, when he was a little kid, none of us ever dreamed that he was going to be like, and you seriously, I mean, you're just a big muscular guy because you are using, I mean, Jaya uses, that's basically his entire, everything you do is with your upper chest and shoulders. And I mean, you're like a man,
Yeah.
he's the man. I mean, this guy is, one time I met a little girl whose dad was in a wheelchair. She had so much fun playing with him that she actually felt sorry for other kids who had dads that could stand up. That's awesome. Christy says, "Oh, okay. Tell me about the dirty dash." Yeah, Christy, keep feeding me some stuff like how Jaya he kind of just poo poos everything.
My memory is not the best.
You're 20. You can't have that excuse. Your mom and
I
I
know
can.
it's gonna be rough when I'm actually old.
Yeah. So what was the dirty dash?
Yeah, so I did that. I don't remember when that was. It was a few years ago. But it was kind of like a triathlon sort of thing. So it's got, you did part of it's, just distance running. And then there's all sorts of big obstacles and stuff to climb through. You gotta run through the mud, go over some walls, that kind of stuff.
So when you're running through the mud, you're doing it just with your hands, your
Yeah, I
arms.
think I did a portion of it in my chair, with having somebody help me, and then I did part of it out on my hands.
So what do you want people to know about folks like yourself that may not maneuver them? People in wheelchairs and stuff like that. I mean, if you could just sit down and talk with somebody, what would you tell them?
Yeah. Um, I mean, everybody has kind of a different level of what they can do and how they can get around. But I guess just not assuming that they can't do something. Asking them if they need help is always good, and instead of just assuming that you need to do it for them.
Yeah, I've had that a lot of time. And another thing that I've learned is don't bend down to talk to them, to
Hmm.
you.
Yeah.
Don't, because just stay at your level. Jay is fine. He
Yeah.
doesn't need you coming down and putting your head. And I think that's a natural reaction for able-bodied people that stand up is, to lean down so it's closer like that. But it bugs the
Right.
hell out of people in
Yeah.
wheelchairs because it's like you're saying, I'm above you and I'm lowering myself to
Yeah.
come down and talk to you. And that's not what people mean, but it doesn't matter what they mean. It's
Right.
how it comes across to the person in the chair.
Yeah.
So now how do can you drive?
I can drive. Yep. Yep. I actually got a car a year and a half ago.
So you have everything on the steering wheel, like your gas and all that stuff?
So the ones I have, they're just temporary ones right now. But they basically it's two kind of like two long rods that clamp to both of the pedals, and then one of them you push with your thumb for the gas, and then there's another lever that you just push down for the brake.
So we don't have to worry about you texting and driving.
No, that would be real difficult.
Jaya doesn't get away with that. That is so funny. So what? So you're going to take in welding. Is that what you want to do? Like with your career, what would you like to do for your job for life? Or
Yeah,
I mean, at
that's
least for a first job.
it is what I would like to do at least right now. I really like it. You know, I've always liked getting to do stuff. You know, building stuff with my hands, not just being stuck at a desk for however many hours a day.
Um, Getting a modified vehicle is very expensive. Your mom says, and oh my God, insurance doesn't cover it.
Nope, you're all on your own.
Why?
I couldn't tell you.
If insurance covers a Tesla that drives by itself,
Right?
and these new Google apps in cars. I have a friend, and he went to, I think it was L.A., and the whole trip was in a car that was run by Google. There was no driver. Car
Oh,
pulls
really?
up. They got in, drove to the location. It stopped. They got out, and there's no insurance. I mean, I'm sure insurance covers that.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So how can you drive in Oregon? Don't they require insurance? So is it, do they do kind of a special permit for you because of your different ability?
And no, so I have like normal car insurance. Um, it's just they won't pay for any kind of equipment with it or anything.
Oh, I see what you mean. So they won't cover any of the equipment and how you, when you have to modify your car or anything.
No, yeah.
So what kind of car is it?
It's a Kia Soul.
And then how do you, I'm asking kind of weird questions, I guess. How do you take, so how do you, when you're by yourself, you drive by yourself, right?
Yeah.
So how do you do that? You get in the car, and how do you get your wheelchair in your car?
So the way I do it, most people do it differently, but the way I do it, is I get in the trunk and then I just hop in the back and then I pull my chair up into the trunk and then I just crawl over this into the driver's seat from there.
I would love to have a video of that.
Oh yeah, I could do that.
You should have your mom, Christy. You should take a video of Jaya, like, and then put some really cool music to it. That would mean something, like doing something out of the ordinary. How do
Hmm.
I get in the car? Like this, and then you going in and crawling through the other way. So how do you pull the trunk down? I guess you just have a little handle or something.
Yeah, I just have like a little rope tied to it so I can reach it.
So you actually, like, you crawl in the trunk of your car, slam the door, and then over the seat, waddle. You got to be
Yep.
really, you got to be in shape. So do you work out somewhere? I mean, I know your every day is a workout, but do you like go to a gym or anything like that?
Yeah, I don't not going as consistently as I should, but I do work out. I'm trying to get back into it a little bit more.
How
Um
do you how do you do cardio?
Mostly just pushing laps in my basketball chair is mostly how I do it.
That okay, because you can get a lot of cardio from all the stuff like that you're doing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But you don't get on a treadmill and do it with your hands.
No. I don't I would probably couldn't do it for real long if I did
That'd be pretty
that.
dangerous too, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Although I've seen people do some. That might be a funny video, Jaya.
I could try it.
I just
Yeah.
make sure somebody's there to help you. But God,
Right.
that'd be so funny. What? So I'm in a wheelchair. I can do anything you can do, and then just do a bunch of stuff like that. It'd be really
Yeah.
good. I think it'd be good for people to see that, not no, I'll tell you. I know just from Jaya's past and everything, nobody should feel sorry for you, and you don't want them to.
Yeah.
This is the life you have, and this is what you're, so maybe I kind of think this is just how it was always going to be. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
It's not a mistake. Do you ever think that, here's a weird question, because I've asked other people this. If you could live your life the way you do now, or if you could be able-bodied, what would you pick?
Um, I mean, I'd probably keep it how it is.
Why?
Um, I mean, it's everything I've ever known, and I've gotten, I've been able to do tons of different crazy things that I probably would never get to do otherwise if it weren't for my situation.
So what I've kind of learned in my life, Jaya, is like my curse is often my gift.
Hmm.
So the bad, and I don't mean this as a curse, but I just mean the things, and a lot of times the things people pick on me for are really the things that are my gift, are the
Yeah.
things that make me stand out, but it's like almost like people want to put you down so that you don't rise to where you're going to be. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've never asked that question of someone in a wheelchair and had them ever tell me that they'd rather be able-bodied.
Hmm.
Never. I've asked that by 8 or 9 times, and I've never had. I think that would shock people,
Yeah.
who are able-bodied would think, "Well, no, wouldn't it be better if you were like me? And if you could get up and run and go do all that stuff." Um, it's like and so what's kind of cool about that, Jaya, is that you've accepted this is you.
Hmm.
And what if you didn't have that? I mean, you're a nice, cool, charming dude, and if you could have been a little snotty brat,
Yeah.
you know, not saying your mom was not going to raise a smarty brat. That's for she's she knows what she's doing. But you
Right.
know what I mean? There's a lot of things worse in life. Look at all the kids who are contemplating suicide, and the kids that are suffering with depression. And I'm sure we all have moments and stuff. But do you ever get? I mean, you get down, right? Because you're a dude. You're just a guy, right?
Yeah. It happens occasionally to everybody.
But how do you keep? What do you think it is about your life that keeps it positive?
Um, I mean, I always got something fun to look forward to. Um, I've never really come across a situation that wasn't, you know, you couldn't solve a problem. Um, I've always kind of just tried to look on the bright side of everything.
I think that ingenuity too is from your situation. I
Hmm.
mean, because even when you were little, like that first time when Christy, your mom and I watched you flop up that staircase, you were not going to go on that wheelchair elevator.
Yeah.
I mean, I wish everybody in this room or that's watching this podcast could have been there that day. Cause there's a bunch of people I know from Mount Vernon. I'd go there every year and read for 20 years, and people still, if I have a couple people on my Facebook page, and when they talk about the good old Mount Vernon days, there's a couple of stories that come up, and usually they involve you.
Oh,
uh,
really?
because you really set. I mean, I think, Jaya, what you do is you show us the possibilities in life. You know what I mean? Because I think when God gives you arms and legs, maybe it's the more appendages you have, the less you depend on your soul. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And you kind of had to, um, and that was just, I don't know. I find you, you know, I will never, I just, I know I get all teary here, but I'll never forget you. I will never forget you. You've had a huge impact on my life.
Thank you.
And at times when I was, here I was with cancer, and I was getting treated for it, and you were having your legs amputated. And, for me, that was inspiring too.
Hmm.
Uh, but do you remember when he walked across the stage for the first time? Your mom just wrote that. Don't make me cry, Christy. Yes, I do. That was another year. That was after he got the legs amputated. And then it was a couple of years later, I think. And you had the prosthetics on when they were
Hmm.
working, and
Yeah.
you went up the stairs and you came across the thing, and oh my gosh. And most of the people, for the audience out here listening, most of these people had kids that were little, so they came every year to these assemblies. So they had probably seen Jaya walking across the thing and then been there when he'd been amputated his legs. And now all of a sudden to see full circle, I mean, you You really should think about someday, writing a book or something. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think you
Yeah,
could
that could
help.
be cool.
Yeah, I think you could, Jay, you could help a lot of people, um, with just, because your attitude's so good and you are, you kind of live therapy. You know,
Mhm. Yeah.
you know what I mean? But I really want to see the video of you getting in your car.
All right, I can do that.
So Christy, you get the camera. And then you have to practice because you got to make it as well. You probably do this all the time, so you'd be pretty fast.
Yeah,
But,
I can
but
I can do it pretty quick.
to see you scramble up there, but I mean, your shoulders. How big are your shoulders? And he was
Um,
very sick that day and was admitted to the hospital the next day. Oh yeah, I mean, your life has. I think that's the thing too. We're giving the high points here too, but there's been a lot of stress on your life and your family, and you get sicker, and there shit happens.
yeah.
John says, his heart is so amazing and wanting nothing more. Love it. Do you know John Gamble?
Sounds familiar. I'd have to see a
He might
face.
just be a guy who maybe he's just seeing that from what you are on here, just being real. He may not know you. John, do you actually know Jaya, or are you just that you're seeing that just from watching him? That's what's so fun about doing this is people in real time um, can make comments and stuff like that. So again, I
Yeah.
want to remind people, Jaya is asking people if they're looking for funds, their team, and Bridge City Inclusive Sports is a Facebook page that is theirs, and you can get a hold of that to find out more about if you wanted to sponsor them or give some money to help Jaya and his teammates get to this. He's had followers on his Facebook page since he was 9. I remember being on that page. That's how I
Yep.
find out something was going on. But you used to be really shy.
What's that?
You used to be really shy.
I did. Yeah. I mean, I still kind of am a little bit.
Are
I'm
you are you an introvert or an extrovert? What do you think?
definitely an introvert for
Are you
sure.
really?
Yeah.
So is this hard for you?
Yeah, a little bit.
That's funny. Well, I'm glad I'm making you do something hard.
Oh yeah. It's good.
Well, and you reached out and called me and stuff, but I remember I used to do stories on you and stuff, um, and you were always real quiet, but you were very, always articulate about it, and
Uh-huh.
you didn't have a problem doing it.
Yeah.
So what else do you want? What else would you want people to know about you? Is there anything else?
Um, I don't know. I think we've kind of
There doesn't have to be. I just enjoy spending the time. It's kind of like just being with you.
yeah.
And you've, yeah, it's when I go home, yeah, probably on the way home, Jaya. I'm just telling you, you're one of these people that on the way home, I'll probably have tears in my eyes and be so thankful in my life that God introduced me to you because, someday when I'm gone, you can say something nice about me, but
Oh,
um,
for sure.
you've really, you inspire me. There's so much shit going on in the world right now, and people are so nasty and online, and
Hmm.
you're kind of a bright spot. There's people on here going, "Oh, I miss these kind of live shots." When it's just stuff like this because it's just nice just to just talk to people
Yeah.
and then I want to, obviously your mom will always keep in touch with me because I want to know when you meet that girl and expect pictures. And then, when you have kids, if you decide you're going to have kids, you would be a good dad. You
Thank
really,
you.
and your mom deserves to be a good grandma because she
Yeah.
raised because she raised you.
Yep.
She deserves to have something fun like that. Now, Shelley Woodruff says, "Amen." All right, my man. It was really super nice sitting and talking to you.
Yeah,
And
it's good talking to you.
Christy says you've always helped share the positive side of his life and advocating for him. I will always be there for you. I mean, yeah, this guy. Yeah, I think you're kind of like an angel, except I know you're kind of a pain in the ass too. So I don't want you to get too hard on yourself. But
You
you
got to
know
do
what
a
I
little
mean.
bit of everything.
Mr. Rick, I learned about you late in my life. Okay, Deborah. I'm not looking, but Jaya might be. Jaya, it's good to see you, and thank you so much for being here. Okay, so put that out there, and when this posts, your mom already has it. She can put how to a link to the Facebook page right in there, so people can go there if they want to give money. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. See you later, buddy.
See ya. Thank you.
Yeah, love you, man.
Love you.
So, yeah, that was fun. Huh. I yeah, if I have pictures that I have in a book of um that assembly when he crawled across the stage. And God, I just remember it took me so long to get my composure because I had never seen anything like that. I mean, it was like, and nobody expected it. And to see the whole room just, I mean, not crying because they felt sorry for him. They were crying, they were inspired because he was literally going to be his own person, and he still is. That's what's so cool about it. Um, I'll take. I got a couple seconds here. I'll tell you. Let me tell you another story. Mount Vernon Elementary School in Springfield, Oregon, was like God's little paradise for me. I went there every year and read stories and everything. So one year, Jaya was like the highlight, but there's this other little boy that every time I'd go to the school, the special ed class would have me come in and talk to the kids. And so after the assembly, I'd go in and talk to the special ed kids. And so one year I'm in there, and this is a true story. I'm standing inside the room and telling, just talking and asking questions and stuff. And this little boy in the back obviously was dealing with autism or something. And he looks at me and he raises his hand and he says, Mr. Dancer, you're comfortable here, huh? And I said, yeah, I am. And he says, do you know why? I said, no. He says, because we don't expect anything from you like the rest of the world. And I just lost it. This guy saw me. I mean, he knew that there were so many expectations on me being RicK Dancer, the news guy, and this class of people that folks call handicapped got me. They understood me. So I'm crying, the teacher's crying, and I leave. Oh, before I leave though, I remember he said something, let me tell you one more thing, your life's going to change. I said, how's my life going to change? He says, I can't tell you. So I leave. That was in November. The following March, I quit my 30-year career at KEZI to run for Secretary of State in Oregon. So I ran, I lost. In November was always when I went and did these assemblies. After the election and I'd lost, I would go back to the school. And my whole talk was about sometimes you can be a loser and still be a winner. And I looked in the back of the room and there was this young man, and I won't use his name, but at the assembly I was talking and then all of a sudden I looked and I saw him. And I said, I'll just use Billy. I said, Billy. And everybody looked and I said, I said, how did you know? And he screams out, the audience, I just knew. And then I told the audience the story, and there wasn't a dry eye in the place. And then I said to that audience, don't you ever, ever tell me that the people who are called special ed don't have some special purpose and some connection to God that you and I will never understand. And if we pay more attention to them and listen to them, they can tell us things that we would no way otherwise know. And Jay is the same thing. Just by being who he is, I think there's this connection that God has to people like Jaya and others, folks that don't live in the world exactly the same way we do, that they can reach out and touch us. I've never met anyone like that. I have another friend, Amelia, who deals with Down syndrome, and she's the same way. She understands me in ways that nobody else does. So when you walk down the street and you see somebody who's different, shut your mouth, because you don't know what that person is dealing with, what they're living with. And if you want to know, just go up and ask them. Talk to them. Don't look away because you feel stupid or you don't know what to say. Just say the same thing you'd say to anybody else, because they're just real people like you and me. Except I believe that they have a kiss from God. And I want to be near that. So that's what it is. So you guys help them out, get them some money, so they can go do their basketball thing. And I just remember this man as someone who was on the news back then. I was busy with my own career. Oh, well, you guys, yeah, thanks for being here. And tomorrow night, we're doing a show again. We just had a busy week. We're going to do another show. It's on this garbage facility they're proposing in Lane County, and people are super concerned about it. And so if that's something you want to know more about, we're going to have the people involved who are fighting it. And they'll come on and explain what it is and what's going on. So it might be something of interest to you, but it won't be like this. This is a fun one. Share this on your page too, so other people can be blessed by what they just saw. And I'm going to hang it up here and go get in my car and drive home and have a little cry. A good kind, because God's blessed me a lot. And I got good people in my life. See you later. Bye-bye.